Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to ESGT Official here with the Esports Global Tournament here from Gran Turismo Sport. We're at the third round of the GT4 series. We're at Autopolis in Japan for this race, and I'm joined here in the commentary booth yet again by Chompie. It's a pleasure. And
likewise.
Thank you. Thank you, my mate. It's been an interesting couple of races so far, although we've had a bit of dominance, I think it'd be fair to say, from the Phoenix Esports team and their very pacey Honda NSXs. Here at Autopolis, things might be different in the end. Let's go to live pictures and a track guide indeed, as Chompie takes the Media Mobile around the track. We're on board, and you can go, and I will do my best to guide you people through what is the ups and downs, the lefts and rights of Autopolis. So we're live with Chompie, who's now stationary in the final sector, probably just waiting for the traffic to clear.
Yep, right now we're waiting for all the drivers to get past me so I don't slow any of them up as I go around here.
So a good little extra look here at the final sector. That's an absolutely crucial one with a very long start-finish straight. So this exit from the final corner, difficult indeed with that kink to the left. And then warming the tires as we pass the start-finish line to start a lap here past the pit exit as well, where you have to be careful. And then into a heavy braking zone for the right-hander that is turn one. One of the best overtaking opportunities on the track. Indeed, we see a lot of action here when the racing gets live. Turn two, just a slight kink to the right, of course, flat out. And then a 90-degree right-hander that is turn three, followed by turns 4 and 5, which is a kind of similar radius double left-hander, and into a hairpin at turn, what is that, 6 or 7? I lost it already. Technical track this with a slight right-hander, of course, flat out before this left, very long left-hander that just keeps on going, and the car just wants to sail out wide. It does not want to turn in, and I think a lot of the drivers are going to be struggling with exactly that. Coming up to the second hairpin of the track, the left-hand hairpin. This one, especially with a little bit of a kink there at the top, or of a crest, that is. Right through the apex, making exiting particularly difficult. And then into the final sector of the track, where off-camber is pretty much the name of the game. Look at how the track just kind of wants you to slide out wide. It never tilts in the right direction. It always throws you off as it's uphill through the double right-handers. You have to be very patient on the throttle here through the final sector indeed, with these long corners where it so easily can be put off by being too early on the accelerator. And that's going to compromise exits here as we round that final left kink back onto the start-finish straight, and that is a lap of Autopolis. Chompie,
yeah, indeed, and tire wear is going to be a huge problem around here with all those long corners and all of that as well. And not only that, but I was just trying to conserve tires on that lap primarily, but these drivers are going to be pushing, as you can see. Our fastest driver currently in practice is Nova from Virtual Life Experience, and he's 3 seconds faster than that past lap, so we'll see what these drivers can do out there today.
It's going to be really interesting, and having a look at the standings, it's going to go through those real quickly, because I did mention just as we came on, it's been a good couple of races for Phoenix Esports in the Honda NSXs, with Dark right now leading the championship at 157 points, though the two VLX BMWs with Nova and Huetzo are very close in behind. Nova on 144 points, Huetzo on 142. We've got Dr. LJ, Dr. Lovejuice from DNA Racing in the Porsche Cayman in 4th in the standings on 138 points, being steady over the two opening rounds. Teammate Judoka is there as well in 5th in his Dodge Viper on 136 points. Then at a shared, well, what is that, 7th place? No, 6th place, that's Bonjour Storm and Ismetilik, who are tied at 135. And it's generally very close, but that's of course given that the points do not differ that much. The point system is made up such that Division 1 gets the top points and they start at 80. They go down, 2nd place gets 76, and then it's 74, 72, 70, etc. all the way down here. As with the final being underway, I think
we're
that's...
getting stuck check 2 underway. Again, the stuck checks are to prioritize that all drivers leave the grid safely, to give them a practice run off the grid and into turn 1, as well as check for any connection issues that may occur. Yeah,
and those connection issues, we have seen our fair share of those in our times. Both at Half the Race Gone, I think we've seen them here at ESGT, but of course these stuck checks are a very efficient way of making sure that you don't see these kind of problems. That's been haunting Gran Turismo games, well, ever since Gran Turismo 5, if I'm not completely mistaken. These are some hard-lived bugs. They will not go away.
Yep, and everyone's clear.
Our 2nd stock check has been cleared indeed, and that means we should be good to go for qualifying in not too long, as somebody takes the perfect line through turn 1 there on the inside. I think that was Barrels. Or was that?
Oh, and we have someone spinning off.
Dr. Lovejuice got absolutely...
Yep,
absolutely cleared.
It's a way for drivers to show their fun side. Teammates will be punting their teammates off. People will just be going off track just cause, you know, just having a jolly good time before the actual qualification and race begins.
And yes, 02, you very much called it. Perfectly so. Right on point. A good bit of wrecking. And that never ceases to entertain, I think, to be honest. By the way, welcome to, well, everyone who's tuning in here early days before the 22nd qualifying session. Those drivers are going to be in a hurry to get a lap put in with the 22nd qualifying session that we're running. That is, of course, a 20-minute qualifying session. Yep. And are you expecting any shakeups in what we've seen at the 2 opening rounds of this series?
No, I don't think anything here is going to be much of a surprise. I mean, the BMWs, as always, they're going to suck that fuel down as well. And another thing to take into consideration is the recent BOP change that came with the patch a few days ago, actually. One major thing that happened was the Corvette got a lot of power taken away, so that's going to make it better on fuel, but also not as good as in a straight line. So we'll see how that pans out for all the vet drivers racing today.
Darkrai just resetting the internet. We're going to have a slight delay on the qualifying session. As of those grounds, yep. I think we will be just fine, as we're having a look at 5S, 5 Signs, the Phoenix Esports driver, winner of the opening round, but for some reason, only being ridden for 42 points on that opening round, so maybe something I didn't quite catch up to.
Some drivers also moved up from lower divisions, such as Division 2, where there are not as many points on the table.
I guess that sort of would explain it, but
yeah.
I'm not quite sure though here. There's a bit of an off-track excursion there for 5S. DJ is feeling another Phoenix Esports car. The number 96 Porsche Cayman GT4, the second Porsche Cayman to join the Division 1 here. It's going to be interesting to see how DJ, who's also our lobby host today, fares along with that. Very nice livery, I have to say. And the Porsche Cayman GT4, that's also coming to iRacing in about a week's time. And as a regular user of iRacing, I am very excited to see that. They have also mentioned that they will be bringing the BMW M4 GT4 car to that sim to bring in the GT4 class of racing. It's going to be racing multi-class in the IMSA Sports Car Challenge alongside the TCR. Well, I'm hugely excited, as you can hear. And we're going to be fielding the Cayman GT4 in the 24 hours of Nürburgring in this Impact team this year. So a good chance for us to get acquainted with that car. It's certainly one of the iconic race cars of our age, dare I say. The Cayman GT4.
Cayman's definitely up there. I definitely think any Porsche as well is up there, such as the LMP1 as well in the RSR.
Indeed, the Porsche 919 is very much a legend on its own. The RSR, well, the name RSR goes back so many years. The RSR legacy of Porsche goes back all the way to the 1970s, the early 1970s, indeed. So, of course, a lot of history.
We're about to get qualifying underway here as soon as all the drivers are on track and ready to go, as we also see some drivers practicing their starts as well.
And we've seen at the opening 2 rounds huge differences can be made at the starts here at these standing starts, and some cars just don't seem to like him, especially with the lack of tuning possibilities, really, and the lack of flexibility in terms of gear ratios. So drivers being stuck. Those cars that have a long first gear, they tend not to get as well off the line. That makes perfect sense, but we're gonna see just how that pans out here. Judoka is first on track. Nova out early as well. We've still had a lot of cars hanging out in the pits.
Yep, and Darker Eye is the next one out from Team Phoenix.
Oh, we have championship leader, the number 7 Honda NSX. A lot of weight on the shoulders of Darkrai at this midway stage of the competition. But if the opening 2 rounds has been anything to go by, the Phoenix esports team has certainly had both pace and consistency, and both qualifying and race pace, by the way, as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that going on into this one. You were mentioning BOP changes. Has there only been changes made to the Corvette, or has there been changes to the BOP of other cars?
I'm pretty sure it's not just the Corvette. There's been a lot of changes. A lot of them are very minor, and drivers may not even notice them. Others are, like the Vet, are just hugely impacted. I didn't take a look at the patch notes, so I don't really know. I just remember that the drivers were arguing that the Vet was extremely underpowered now. So see how that goes for them.
I guess that's always the risk of running the official BOPs. When they get changed, some drivers might find themselves... Oh, I thought the qualifier was already on the way. But
yeah, no.
There we go.
Yep, the qualifier has not started yet, and the 20 minutes for all Division 1 drivers for qualifying starts now. As our first driver out is DJ from Phoenix, followed by Judoka, followed by Ismatalik representing One Racing Esports, and then we have Bonjour Storm, Darker Eye, DJ Dr. Lovejuice, Tugatrada. We also have Barrels from Team Renegade and Fullness. Slowing down, waiting for everyone to go by. We also have Holloman, Huezo, Fullness. Again, we have almost all the drivers out. Nova's still in the pits, giving everyone time, I guess, to go away or doing whatever he wants to do, I guess.
There's a bit of funkiness happening with our cameras here for the time being. I don't exactly know what's this all about. I mean, we can get the onboard shots just fine, but if I try to go for any kind of outside of the car shot, this is what I get served with. We just
maybe try changing the car. Try that.
Yeah, I tried that. Didn't exactly help. So
maybe exit and go back in.
I actually tried that already as well. I'd be happy to try it again. It's not the first time this has happened for me, but it seems a little different every time this happens as to what exactly the solution is. Good old PD when the drivers are having problems being stuck on grid or whatever. It's us in the booth. But we will see. Hopefully it'll be fixed by just starting the race. And we'll be stuck for... But I see my timer isn't running.
I think it's bugged. Yeah, your timer's bugged as well.
Yeah.
I'll keep you updated on what happens right now. So far, DJ is crossing the line first to start his flying lap as we have 18 minutes left to go.
Yeah, I might have to rejoin on this, but will I be able to spectate? I should be able to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I should. Okay, so I'll have to leave you with a bit of a waiting screen for a short moment.
Yep.
I'll just be swift with trying to deal with these small technical issues. Certainly isn't the first time I've tried it, so...
Yep. Right now in qualifying, all the drivers are back to each other. I guess trying to get that slipstream, but it's a really curved track, so I don't really know what the drivers have in mind, but I guess it's working.
A lot of curves, but enough straights that if you can gain a bit of extra time,
yeah,
it's probably worth it.
3 major straights on this track. Which the drivers are coming down one of them right now. So the average lap time around here as well is 1 minute 52, 53 around there. So that's what you can expect from all of the drivers.
Oh, just as we join live pictures yet again, DJ has a bit of a moment. I'm afraid that's gonna ruin a lap for DJ.
Yep, but he does have 16 more minutes to get it done as he sets a 150 as the initial lap. Keep in mind that tire wear is off during qualifying, so all laps are probably going to be their fastest in qualifying as Darker Eye goes fastest this first lap, setting a 149.5.
So Darker Eye, our championship leader, provisionally fastest as well, with Huezo from VLX in that BMW M4. 2.5 tenths behind, and it's 0.555 of a second to Holman in the Lexus from GRT. Looking competitive here as Nova best that time by half a second. Oh my, 149 dead. That's hugely impressive.
It's very close in the field right now as third to first right now is split within 1/10 of a second. And fourth, I believe, all the way down to 10th or 11th is split by only 1 second, so we also see some slight overtake attempts going down as Barrels tries to defend against Bonjour Storm on that back straight.
I'm watching this very same battle, but now on board here with Holman which gives a panorama view of proceedings ahead. I think Bonjour Storm is going to be a little dissatisfied being stuck in that way, and this is now hitting Holman as well, because and
and
he
Holman stops.
Yeah, he isn't
Probably
having
just to get out of the action.
Yep. And that seems like a pretty good decision in the end, to be honest, because he was certainly getting held up there, and that was costing him, well, I was about to say important time, but it's more like important laps, because if being held up, of course, it's really offsetting.
Wezo sets our third sub 50 time today.
Indeed. 49.6 for Huetzo there. That's not bad at all. Pamigo 13 for One Racing Esports. They are quite a bit of way down on the provisional pace. That was a 52 something being put in there, so room for improvement. Fullness for Kinetic provisionally 5th.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
Yeah, another thing too is in that Corvette that just got nerfed, he is flying for that nerf that just hit him. So let's see if he can keep it up. Let's see if he can hold that position.
We are on board now with Fullness here into the left-hand hairpin across the crest. Oh, that's a brave line. Keeps the slide under control, and then down the hill into the double right-hander. Of course, very much off camber, especially the first part of it here, but keeps it perfectly lined here. And then the second part of this long right-hander becomes eerily off camber as well. I think Fullness just carrying a little too much speed into the penultimate corners. We're having a look at the times being set here. 5S up into 4th place in the second of the two NSXs, but immediately being bettered by Holman, who sets a 150.2 to go 4th fastest provisionally on the grid. So just having a look at the times set right now, it's Nova provisionally on pole, a half a second in front of Darkrai for Phoenix Esports. PLX teammate Huetzo is provisionally in 3rd, very close to the time of Darkrai indeed. Holman for GRT in that Lexus, 4th for the time being, with 5S for Phoenix Esports in 5th. Kinetic Fullness 6th, DJ in 7th, with the DNA drivers Tucho and Dr. LJ in 8th and 9th place. Ismetalik at the moment is 10th. Barrels for Renegade is 11th, and Judoka is in 12th. And we're gonna scroll down. Oh, there is no more than 12 drivers somehow.
No, there's 14.
There is 14, right?
Yep.
And I do see 14 as well, but I just...
You might have to scroll down on the monitor screen, like keep going down on the bottom.
Yeah,
it doesn't show all 14.
It just didn't allow me to actually scroll down. Might
really?
this be
Maybe
some other bug?
They did exit the track to do something, so that might be the cause of it, but yeah.
That might be the reason that we're not seeing all time set here. 5S just creeps below 150 with a 149.999. That's enough to go 4th fastest. Within a second of teammate Nova, I was about to say. That's very much not a teammate. Within half a second of teammate Darkrai Nova, still very much on top of standings here.
Yeah. 5's also breaking into that sub 50 by 1,000 of a second.
Yeah, exactly. That's that 49.999. Impressively done by 5S just to pit it in. And before we have another ghost, Felix, you know that feeling, don't you? Being our very own Patrick Swayze. The driver that for an entire race at some point, what kind of race was that? Even a TSR race or something, Felix? I don't remember what that was now. You tell me, Felix, but I remember. I don't remember, but I do remember. It sounds strange, but it's true. We've got 9 minutes left here as Nova puts it into the gravel trap, and I cannot recall any replays now because of having to rejoin the session. So hopefully they're gonna work for the race, which is where we need them the most. So we're watching Darkrai within the final sector. Tucho improves to go.
Still improving, yeah.
Yeah, very much so. 154 for Tucho, or 150.4. That is, of course, enough to go 8th fastest so far.
Yeah, there's only 1 second dividing 6th place all the way down to 10th, really. Not even that, only 0.2 of a second between 6th and 10th. So this is going to be some really close racing.
Oh, and Darkrai improves, but not by a lot. 149.501. We're still just over 1/10 of a second between Darkrai and Huetzo in 2nd and 3rd. We've got 5S within half a second of those two as well. Holman just 0.15 of a second. Dr. Lovejuice around half a second then from, or just around 0.4 of a second, that is. And then again, very close between Dr. LJ and Kinetic Fullness, who seems to be getting the most out of the Corvette. Of the Corvette drivers. And these are this still early point, pretty early. So we've got time for 2-3 more laps, depending on track position. For the time being, 7 minutes of this session remaining. It was indeed the IGTL Summer Championship. And talk about something that was confusing, Felix, trying to keep track of where is that car that we cannot see. And trying to remember that when looking at the standings, at somewhere there's a car that we don't see, but it is actually there. It was very weird. So
we have our 5th sub 50 as Holloman goes 149.9.
Okay, so 5S and Holman very close to one another. Nova.
There's only 0.14 between 5s and Holloman, which is 4th and 5th right now.
Yeah, very much true. And further down, there's 20. Well, that's 200ths of a second. I'm sorry, that's 20,000ths of a second. 200ths of a second between Dr. Lovejuice and Fullness, and then another 200ths of a second between Fullness and the DNA teammate of Dr. LJ. That's Tucho, the Brazilian.
And then DJ is below them again. It's almost a similar gap.
It very much is. That's a very, very, very close midfield standing here. Tucho in the Ferrari 458. And just having to wonder how much they had to detune that engine to put it into Group 4 spec.
Darker Eye has a best sector. Sector 1, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Gonna go on board. Purple through sector 1. How was it through sector 2? That's a good question. Darkrai is now in the final sector and the yellow flags are out. Someone is stationary at the side of the track, I think. You might have either gotten a tow or a move on. I think would have been the former.
Darkrai is really getting this NSX to turn, giving it all the oversteer he possibly can.
But it's not
no,
enough.
He's not going to go fastest.
It's not enough. Still just over 4 minutes of qualifying remaining. So still very much a chance for Darkrai to grab pole position. It's provisionally a spot on the front row. That's not all bad for the championship leader, who could be alright with holding on to second place. And mind you, the BMWs are still, we'd expect at least, at a sizable disadvantage when it comes to fuel economy. And we've been seeing the Hondas gain quite substantial amounts of time over pit stop rounds here over the first 2 races at least, where the BMWs certainly had the pace to keep up or to even outperform the Hondas on occasion. But once
that's another change I heard.
There was
got more power.
Sorry, but there was contact between Darkrai and a Lexus, and I'm not sure. I don't think it was Hallman.
I'm pretty sure it was Pamigo.
Indeed, of course, it was Pamigo in the one Lexus, who got kind of shoved out of the way by Darkrai. Let's see what kind of lap time is it going to be for the championship leader in the number 7 car. It's not going to be enough.
It's going to be 149, but that's not enough.
That's certainly not enough. It's not even going to be enough for an improvement. Still 2 attempts left.
But yeah, as I was saying, another change they made in the patches is the Honda, they got more power, which means they're going to be a little bit more competitive on the straightaways and in that top speed, but they're also going to suck more fuel. So we'll see how that pans out for them. Is Matalik is our 6th driver to go sub 50.
Oh, it's Matalik in the very nice McLaren for One Racing Esports. The Portuguese on the pace here looks very good. I must say I'm a bit surprised to hear that that the Honda has been giving a power increase. I think that's the last thing it needs. It's been crushing a position, at least here in the world of league racing, albeit at the top level of league racing. And I wouldn't expect it to be different in the FIAs, to be honest. I don't know, because I haven't really been involved with that for quite some time, but surprised to see.
Last minute of quali.
Last minute indeed. Oh, and Darkrai
goes faster,
but not fast enough. That's a 149.3, so that's still 0.3 off of Nova, or as Felix called him earlier in chat, Supernova. That's very saying for the pace put down by the British VLX driver in the qualifying session, at least. One final attempt for Darkrai, or any of the others for that matter, to grab pole position. Provisionally it's Nova ahead of Darkrai, Huetso, 5S, Holman, Ismatilic, Dr. Lovejuice, and Fullness of Kinetic. That's your top 8. As time is now out, so it's going to be final attempts for those drivers that managed to cross the line in time.
Looks like Fives is going to be the first one to wrap up qualifying for us.
And with what kind of time? Into the final 2 corners. I don't necessarily think that's going to be a huge improvement. That is not going to be any type of improvement. It is going to be an improvement for Tucho, though, who grabs 7th place. Well timed indeed. We're going to have a look on board here with Nova. It's going to be a late improvement for the Brit. Well, it's not going to be necessary unless someone else posts in an insanely good lap time.
Darker Eye does not improve.
No, DJ grabs 8th for Phoenix Esports, and it's a 49.7 for Nova's final lap as well.
Yep,
So VLX Nova on pole position. Almost surely, I want to say a single car still remains to cross the line.
Yep. And that finishes up qualifying right there. Our top 3 positions, we have Nova from Virtual Life Experience, Darker Eye from Team Phoenix Esports, and we have Huezo also representing Virtual Life Experiences. And the rest down the grid, we have 5s in 4th, we have Holloman in 5th, is Madalik in 6th, and those 6 drivers did a sub 50 in qualifying. We have Tukatrada in 7th, representing Team DNA, DJ in 8th, Dr. Lovejuice in 9th, we have Fullness in 10th, we have Barrels in 11th, and then we have Bonjour Storm in 12th, Judoka in 13th, and Pamago wrapping up the grid in 14th as we get ready to go here in Japan. It's going to be red, and red, 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 and we're getting ready to go. All the cars are revving.
And they're off!
Green. They're off.
And Nova.
We're going 3 wide into turn 1 in 7th position. Barrels gives DJ a little bit of a push and makes up to 8th position.
And meanwhile, Huezo gets a beautiful start, grabbing 2nd place into turn 1 from Darkrai. Holman still in 4th.
Barrels goes off a little bit.
Oh, we're gonna have a look at that.
There's a lot of contact coming around these corners.
We're having a look at the battle for 9th place. Barrels now bumping doors with Bonjour Storm. And we're gonna see if we can catch that incident with Barrels from before here on board with the American, the Renegade Esports driver. Oh, that's a big dive into turn 1. That's not, well, that's Barrels making contact, but that's with quite sure that was DJ in the Phoenix Esports Cayman GT4. And no contact penalties, so that seems to be working better.
Yeah, they also in the patch update fixed. They claimed to fix the penalties, and I think they did a really good job with it. When you turn contact penalties off, they don't give contact penalties. So yeah, feel free to bump draft. Feel free to yeah, just
Feel free to race again.
still race clean. Still, yeah, feel free to race again.
I mean, contact is gonna happen when you race, and if you get penalized in such a heavy manner for the slightest of contacts, that doesn't really encourage any racing at the end. We're on to lap 2. It's Nova. Darkrai back up into 2nd place. Huezo back into 3rd. Holman has grabbed a hold of 4th place with the 5X for Phoenix Esports in 5th. It's Tuco for DNA up into 6th place with DJ for Phoenix Esports in 7th. is Metallic in 8th for One Racing Esports. Dr. Lovejuice, as we're having a look further down the affairs, is in 9th here onto lap 2. Bonjour Storm in 10 Barrels is in 11th, holding off Judoka and the Viper in 12th. In 13th, it's Fullness for Kinetic. And rounding off the pack at the moment in the Lexus Group 4 machine as well, it's Pamiko. We're back up with Nova in the lead, nursing that 0.6 of a second's advantage down to Darkrai, who seems to be gaining at the moment.
Yeah, another thing to mention as well is even though with long corners around this track, tire wear set it 3 times the normal rate, so that's not that much. But considering that this track has a lot of long turns and is notorious for tire wear, we expect the drivers will be going for a one-stop pitting around lap 10 or lap 9 to get that undercut if the drivers are that type. All the drivers, for the most part, are also running racing softs. Grippiest tire available, but also least of quality in terms of life.
Indeed, and if it can be pulled off, the one-stop would make the most sense. I was expecting perhaps to see drivers going for an attempted one-stop. Might be able to save the tires a little better than some of the others for some of the opening couple of races, but that hasn't materialized at all. It's been very uniform on the 2 stoppers so far, but of course with tire wear a bit less than you would usually see, that certainly opens up the possibility of the one stopper. Welcome Mew, nice to have you along. Welcome Crazy as well. Mew, you know what's up when you see that Murray. So Nova's certainly gaining here on Darkrai. It's now 0.9 of a second. Around the second mark now, the BMW M4 seems to be on.
A huge gap forming between the top 6 and the bottom 6. A 2.2 second gap.
I think there's a bit of an audio problem on your end, Chompie. It seems to give us a bit of that kind of nice,
static,
that digital static crackling thing, which just sounds so lovely.
Yeah.
On board we are here with 5S chasing the Lexus of Holman in 4th. Holman doing a brilliant job so far. And indeed a 0.7 second advantage down to Tucho. In 6th is Metallic, though, a second and a half further down, and then closely followed by DJ. And that's actually DJ and Dr. Lovejuice, pardon me, is Metallic, is second and a half ahead of the 2 Porsches. That's a terrible exit though for Dr. Lovejuice, who really ends up losing big time here. Might even be falling into the clutches of Bonjour Storm, the Corvette privateer. Yeah, you know what to expect by now. Mind you, this is not half the race gone. You would be tempted to think it at times. This is in cooperation with half the race gone, we could say. Nova still leading, holding on to the advantage. It's still status quo here for the top 5. And the Ferrari of Tuco gaining, I think, on 5S at the moment. It's just around half a second. Is Metallic in 7th, is bleeding time to the drivers ahead, but at the same time also gaining on whoever's behind. Bonjour Storm now has gotten past on Dr. Lovejuice, and I'm just in the belief that Dr. Lovejuice must have had some kind of moment, because DNA drivers lost quite a bit of time. It's now under pressure as well from Barrels. They're in 11th place. And it's a three-way battle, also joined by Fullness. Dr. Lovejuice, indeed. I've had a bit of a laugh about that myself here. We're on board with the Fullness. Mr. LJ in the 69 machine. Yeah, it's a gift that keeps on giving, that's for sure.
Yeah, it seems that there's now being a gap between the top drivers as well.
Yeah, sorry, Chompie, but there was a big moment here, and I think Barrows just sends it deep here. Kinetic Fullness, they're too wide. The Porsche might have the inside line though for the next sweeper, and we're gonna have another look in just about a moment's time. Once we're sure we don't miss any of the action that's actually happening right around now, because this is a battle worth following. It's for 11th place. We're on board here with a Wang Cam from Barrels, the Renegade Esports Porsche. And that's Judoka in behind in the Viper, I think, missing the apex. He's gonna be losing time all the way down the hill here. Fullness still just knocking on the door, trying to find a way past.
Yeah, but I think that battle is done between them, and as Barrels goes to attack his fellow Porsche enemy and Bonjour.
Oh, Bonjour Storm! What has he done?
That's gonna give his position away to 2, maybe 3 drivers.
So Bonjour Storm goes off, and he's now made that three-way. Well, he actually presented a way out of the three-way for Dr. Lovejuice, who's now sort of clear of it, but it's a big gaggle in behind here. Fullness on the tail of Bonjour Storm, the 2 Corvettes going at it here. Barrels as well right ahead. Close action in the lower parts of the field. We're on board with Bonjour Storm. Yet again here we're on lap 6 of 21 to do. Oh, was that a bit of a touch between Storm and Fullness? That might very well have been. No, I'm not completely sure.
Yeah, because of all this fighting as well, Judoka looks like he's catching on to the rear of the choo-choo train that's forming over here.
Indeed, and Judoka's in 13th place here. We are on board with the DNA. Viper gives us a very good view of the battle ahead here, as Fullness now completely loses the apex of that left hand hairpin. And hazard lights for a moment, that might be just to excuse. Oh, Judoka seems to be very much on the limit. Or, I'm sorry, Fullness, that is. Because Judoka Viper seems to be very, very poisoned. Oh, someone goes off. That's Dr. Lovejuice. Oh my, Dr. Lovejuice. The man with the best name has gone off in the final sector.
Starting to see pit stops from some drivers here as DJ from Team Phoenix goes in as well.
So that's early. That's looking like a 2-stopper. That's actually right on time for a 2-stopper. Oh, and Dr. Lovejuice has pinned it in the pit lane as well. Oh my god. I'm lost for words as I'm checking out the replay.
Yeah, I forgot to mention as well that pit lane is very tight and it's very easy to screw up. And we also see Bonjour Storm going for a move on Barrels as well into that first hairpin. Barrels keeps the position.
We're gonna go for a second look. We're on board here with Bonjour Storm as he has a good old look up the inside. Barrels defends it well, keeps the position in the end as you see. Good piece of battling there. What bad luck for Dr. LJ. That left me speechless for a moment. It's very much status quo up ahead here in Nova, nursing a 1 second lead in front of Darkrai, and then Huetzo really having caught up in the second of the VLX BMW. So
yeah, keep in mind we also have a battle for fifth between Fives, Tukadrada, and Ismatolik as well, forming up ahead. Tukadrada goes defensive into the first corner. Will he hold the position? He breaks lane, and that is enough to hold Ismatolik off behind him for another day.
Ismatolik has made some very good gains on the two cars in front, considering that not too long ago Ismatolik was 2.5 seconds off of the back of these two. And 5S seems to be a little off pace there in the second of the Phoenix Esports Hondas for the time being. Sitting fifth, but under heavy pressure from two drivers now. Indeed, Mew. They are at times useful, just ever so slightly. But also optional.
That is a really good overtaking spot, but it looks like no one's gonna use it. But Fives does miss the apex a little.
And they have contact.
It's the pole position.
They actually made a bit of contact there, I think. Tucho and
Bonjour Storm and Barrels are also about to go back at it again as well.
Barrels having made it up into 8th place now. Bonjour Storm following up into 9th. Judoka is now in 10th. That's of course with the pit stops that's happened, as well as the bad luck for Dr. LJ. Pamigo is in 11th. That means we've had pit stops from DJ and Fullness, if I'm not completely mistaken. Indeed we have.
Yeah, and tire wear is starting to take effect here as we hit lap 9 of this race.
Oh, and look at this here, the battle for second place very much coming alive right now as Huetzo is on the tail of Darkrai. Gets a much better exit from turn 1 in through turn 2, now being put to the outside. Darkrai really having to defend, and that is of course advantage for Nova, who could be using this to his advantage to get away.
Wants that fifth position as well. He is fighting fiercely against Fives for that fifth position.
Oh yeah, we see this is really close racing. We're trying to keep our eyes on all of it. It's of course different to be watching two things at once. This is a great three-way battle here. Fives, Tucho, and Ismatolik right about now. Here we're with the wang cam of the Phoenix Esports Honda of Fives.
It appears that Huezo's tires are...
Oh, here comes the send! Here comes the send from Tucho! From the Ferrari DNA! Is he gonna grab it? I think he does grab it there.
Yeah, that's position made up for him. Good move by him.
We're gonna have another look at that one. Oh, well, send up the inside indeed to take that position. Seems to be holding on to it well. Oh, Huetzo's lost some time up ahead. Same goes for Nova, and they're all coming together at the head of affairs. And the one-stoppers are now having their pit window open. Huetzo is trying to go for the undercut. Coming in a little bit early. Seems not to need any fuel in the car though, and that might be a big advantage for the BMWs indeed. If they don't need to fuel... Yeah, further down there is another one coming in as well. That's Judoka from 10th place in the Viper. And it seems all the cars... So let's see, Wetzo is 2.8 seconds off of the cars in front, so Wetzo should be alright in terms of not being held up. Of course, it's that's imperative if the undercut is ever to work here. Nova, half a second off of Dark Ryan. This could be one that goes all the way to the line. If neither of these cars needs to fuel, well, there will be no advantage to be had really over the pit stops.
Yeah, but I think Nova might have to refuel though. He's almost at 50% in his tank, so we'll see how that goes for him, whether he refuels or doesn't.
With the current advantage, any refueling for Nova is gonna lead Dark Ryan up ahead.
Yeah, definitely.
Holman 7 seconds off of the 2 leaders for the time being. The question is, how is the GRT driver gonna stand when the pit stop rounds are complete?
Smadalik is trying to get barrels as well, but to no avail. That might differ, or that might harm his undercut, because we're now seeing most of the drivers hit in.
So there it is, Nova exiting, no fueling for Nova, and there comes Wetzo to take the lead. Brilliant undercut from the VLX boys. And Dark Ryan finds himself in third. I'm sorry, but we're just gonna have another look at that whole situation. On board with Dark Ryan exiting the pits. Wang cam time. There comes Wetzo flying through into the braking zone. Brilliant undercut from the Aussie.
Yeah, sadly, the undercut attempt did not fare so well for Smadalik, who is still behind 5 and 2 go. Now Nova and Wetzo go head-to-head as Nova looks down the inside in the hairpin. Will he get the move done?
He very certainly will, but he might open the door for Dark Ryan turn as well here. Dark Ryan now very close to Wetzo. As we're just gonna hold off with the replay for a short second. Well, they're extremely close in this 1, 2, 3 here, and that's a bit of a squirmy moment there for Wetzo. Might open the door for Dark Ryan on the inside. There's a bit of a push, and the American is through. Up into second place. On board here for another look. That's the big squirm I mentioned. Opens the door. There's a little bit of a trade of paints between Dark Ryan and Wetzo. But it's within the laws of the game, I'd say. Dark Ryan knows that this is important right about now. To get that car up ahead in order for Nova not just to squeeze ahead and to pull out that definitive advantage with less than 10 laps of racing left to go. Now there's just 0.2 of a second between Nova and Dark Ryan. Of course, Wetzo is by no means out of it, but the Aussie had a big old moment before, and the battle is still very much on as well in the battle for 5th place here. Although it's Smadalik a second off of the 2 duelants ahead. Although, dare I say, Chompie, we're gonna keep our eyes fixed on that battle for the lead right now.
Seems like there might be a battle between 10th and 11th barrels, then Judoka from Team DNA coming up as well.
With 0.7 of a second between the leaders here. Okay, there is actually very much a battle here. Judoka barrels side by side here into the left-hand hairpin.
Barrels goes on the inside.
Good move.
Position. I think he will. Will he hold him off into the next corner? Judoka is significantly... No, he falls back in behind.
That's a very good move then from Barrels to grab 10th. He gets the brilliant run there from the sweeper. Just gets the nose on the inside, and there's no defending that for Judoka. Nice driving there from Barrels. But of course, a lot of defending still to be done if he is to keep Judoka behind. Judoka less than 2/10 off. Here's the start finish straight. So it should be possible for the Viper to squeeze in an attempt here into turn 1. Just doesn't seem to be able to brake late enough to actually send that car up on the inside of the Cayman without making it a big risk for both drivers involved. Into turn 3 they go, still basically glued in together. The battle is very much also hot now for 5th place, as Tucho 5s and Ismatalik is coming together yet again. They're coming together for round 2, you'd be tempted to say, because they've been going at it for quite a bit now. And this has been a brilliant race so far, Chompie.
Yeah, definitely.
I've seen
so much action, because once one battle ends, 2 more begin.
It's been difficult keeping out.
DJ goes off a little bit coming out of that hairpin on the back straight, but it's not going to affect his placement.
But having a look at it,
yeah,
indeed.
Barrels is also catching up to Fullness, representing Team Kinetic as well. Gaining about 3/10 on him in that last second.
That's big gains. Judoka looking to follow along, as they're gonna be bunching up ahead now, making this a 3-way battle. Up ahead there's a battle for 5th place and a battle for the lead involving 3 cars as well, so we've got a lot of action to keep our eyes on. Might be a possibility here for 5s into turn 1. But the Brazilian ahead, Tuco, he really brakes late.
We see a pit stop from DJ.
A pit stop from DJ, but DJ was one of the 2 stopping drivers, I'm quite sure.
Same goes for Fullness.
And Fullness was one of the other 2 stoppers, so that does make sense.
And Barrels goes on Judoka as well. Again, I don't know if Judoka went for a move on Barrels, but they are definitely battling right now as they go into turn 2 and turn 3 and 4.
Here having a look at the replay into turn 1, side by side with Judoka on the outside, attempting to squeeze on through. Very respectful driving, and Barrels able to get the run then down through turn 2 into the right-hander and keeping the position in the end. Very nice driving from both of them, going at it but being respectful enough to leave the space necessary. We see Huetzo now a 2.5 down on Darkrai, so Nova and Darkrai is distancing the second VLX BMW there in the battle for the lead. Holman 7 seconds off of Huetzo right now,
yeah,
and then it's
looks like 5s might be able to pass Tuco soon.
See, I was just about to mention on that battle a gift that keeps on giving indeed.
Now he has the main straight and slipstream to catch up to him. Maybe
And
go for that move.
And he has a very good exit from the final turn as well, with a bit of a run on the Ferrari in front. He's very, very close. He's much closer than he's been before indeed.
Defensive.
Oh, he's trying to squeeze onto the outside. There's a bit of contact.
But Tuco keeps it. But now Ismatalik is all over 5s.
I think that's 5s.
Might go defensive into this next corner.
Yeah, he just
Ismatalik lets off.
kind of a bit of a squeeze there for Ismatalik. I think that was the... There wasn't much that Tuco could do about that in the end, because he can't just disappear. And 5s wanted to go around late on the outside there.
Yeah, and as Tuco and 5s keep battling and keep fighting for position, Ismatalik is just there to pick up the pieces if one or both of them crash or makes a mistake.
With this late round of pit stops, that has allowed Judoka to move up into 8th place. Bonjour Storm is now 9th, and those two are still going at it as well. They've got barrels for company, although a couple of seconds down now.
Yeah.
And this battle for a 5th place is very much still on. As we're now on board with this Madeleine here, sitting 2nd for One Racing Esports.
Wezzo's gap as well to the first 2 positions has grown significantly to 2.3 seconds as well.
Yeah, I think Wezzo is settling for 3rd, although it's still close between the 2 leaders, 0.4 of a second. Dark Rise seems to be biding his time for the moment. Perhaps just hoping that that Nova is going to be pressured into making a mistake. Of course, the very presence of...
Looks like Judoka and Bonjour Storm look like they're going to battle, but Judoka goes into the pits.
That's late.
That gives Barrels a slipstream as well, giving him opportunity to overtake.
I wasn't exactly going to be, at least not into turn 1. Barrels has a good run though down towards turn 3. What's it going to be? Back out in front here, Darkrai with a bit of a moment at the exit of the left-hand hairpin. But keeps it all under control. Hallman safely in 4th at the moment. And then it's still very close between Tuco, still a bit.
Yeah, DJ and Fullness also look like they're getting things closer together. So as they approach the 2nd hairpin on the track, Fullness goes to the inside of DJ.
Well, that becomes the outside though. Oh, sort of disregard. Disregard.
Yeah, you're the wrong driver. So much action. You can't.
Actually, I was looking at the right driver, but I was just thinking about them going through the sweeper.
Yeah, but Kinetic looks like, or not Kinetic, sorry, Fullness looks like he's getting the move done on DJ.
That was a long move indeed. Well played by Fullness to stay ahead there. Through those double right-handers on the outside.
Battling going between 1st and 2nd up ahead. Darkrai goes off almost.
And a quick instant replay here on board with Darkrai. That's Nova getting a bad exit from turn 1. Darkrai goes on to the outside. We're going to take control of the camera to see exactly what happens. Oh, that's a bit of a squeeze indeed. The slightest of squeezes. Let's see if we can get another look there from the outside view. I don't think Nova's really at fault there. To me, that looks like a racing incident.
Yeah, and looks like Darkrai fell off pace and made a mistake. Wezzo grabbed the position for Darkrai.
Darkrai spun on the exit of the left-hand hairpin indeed, as we're watching it right now, and had contact with the wall there with his rear end. That's not going to be a big problem, of course. But the time lost, and it seems the concentration has been broken for Darkrai, and it's now VLX 1st and 2nd.
Yeah. This puts Holloman in position to grab a podium position.
Hallman could very well be in there
right now. Bonjour Storm and Barrels look like they're about to go at it too.
This Metallic is knocking on the door of 5s as we speak as well. I go down to look at Barrels. He was very much on the rear end of Bonjour Storm. As you say,
looks like he got past Fullness as well.
There's gonna be enough to look at for the recap from this race, that's for sure.
Oh yes, definitely.
And there's probably going to be an overtake or two that we've even managed to miss here. We've tried to get it all, but there's been so much action in this race. It's been absolutely amazing to watch. We're into the final 3 laps of racing. Or final 4 laps, that is. Excuse me. So just for a moment thought we were on to lap 19, not lap 18. Barrels still knocking on the rear door of Bonjour Storm,
Yeah,
but not finding a way through.
Gets the inside to DJ for turn 2 as well.
Yeah, and with the nose ahead, that should be a done deal here as
yeah, but you never know because
DJ sticks it around there.
Yeah, then there's the left-hander, and then you got the right-hander.
There comes the switchback.
For that as well.
Oh, they make
breaks himself.
They make a little bit of contact there as well.
It's all over both of them.
The racing here, absolutely fantastic. What a treat that it's been.
Looks like Fullness looks like he might go for the cutback, but no, he's not going to manage it. Because of that fighting, Judoka is now on the back of Fullness and DJ as well.
And up ahead, they are closer than close as well. Bonjour Storm and Barrels still going at it through the final sector. Right in front of these is another 3-way battle as we've got Tucho 5S and his Metalik going for it. And only the top 4 and the bottom 2 drivers not being directly engaged in some sort of racing, close racing that is. And with 3 laps to go here, this seems to go all the way to the wire. It's been amazing so far. Nova now in the lead, 2.2 seconds, and whether that was that contact between Nova and Darkrai when they had that battle and Darkrai went wide, that was such a slight bit of contact. I don't think we should put anything into it. It looked to me as the BMW just understeered ever so slightly more than Nova was perhaps wanting it to. But we're gonna have to see. I don't think it's gonna be a podium place for Holman though. It's 3.7 seconds up to Darkrai now.
Judoka got past Fullness as well. Looks like Fullness made a slight error, but now the field is between them 3 is gaps have risen.
Now looking at Judoka, who Judoka gets the run on the outside, but makes the pass clean on the way down to the double right-hander in the beginning of the final sector. That's after the left-hand hairpin, of course. Good pass there from Judoka up into 11th place.
This Metalik looks like he got the run too into turn 2. Will he go for it? No, he won't. So much action, it seems confusing to keep up with.
Yeah, it very much is here in the battle for 8th place. Bonjour Storm still holding on in front of Barrels, but it's 0.2 of a second separating them. And Barrels is so close, and he gets the run here down towards turn 3, that is. And if he can put that Porsche on the inside, he might be able to make a move. Here comes the move, I think. Up in the inside, and they make contact.
There's a slight contact, yeah.
That's been the order of the day through that corner. I think we've seen so many slight touches. Rubbing is racing though with these Group 4 machines. There's a bit of a return touch there as Bonjour Storm tries to put in the car, but it doesn't really
and
work
DJ
out.
Looks like he's fighting with Judoka as well as their side by side as well.
Very much so. DJ on fresh tires, on that two-stopper. Should have the pace on Judoka, who gets the tires into the grass there on the exit of the sweeper. Up towards the left-hand hairpin. Will there be the space for DJ to actually attack here on the penultimate lap? Oh, Judoka holds the apex wisely there and keeps the position from now coming down the hill. It's going to be difficult to keep it though for another lap and a half, I predict. Let's go up with the battle for 5th place.
Looks like Fives made a mistake as well.
Fives must have made a major mistake. Is down into 7th place.
Yeah, he gave his Madeline position.
And it's outside of the reach of our cameras.
So much action throughout the entire race, and now we're on the final lap as well.
Indeed, Lamb. Indeed. Yeah, good one, Lamb.
Viewers giving you some good old jokes.
Yeah. Lamb says we should be happy that Fives just put him in Division 2. That makes good sense. We've got 2 seconds between Nova and Huetzo here, less than half a lap to go. It seems to be the first win of this series, of this first season of ESGT GT4 racing. And it's gonna be a double up for virtual live experience. And that means Nova is gonna shorten the gap considerably between himself and Darkrai in the overall standings as well. And in the team standings, they're gonna make inroads in whatever advantage Phoenix has been building over the first 2 rounds as well. Here, Nova takes
round 3, Division 1, followed by his teammate Hueso, and Darkrai bottoms out the podium in 3rd.
4th is Holman, who's driven a brilliant race, flown under the radar. Hasn't been any drama for him, but that's been perfect in the Lexus. Oh, look at how close Tuco and his Madeline is! Just a 1/10 of a second between the two as they cross the line. 5S for 7th place. And Barrel's gonna be 8th. Barrel's gotten passed on Bonjour Storm here on the final lap, I think. Because they were so close for so long. And Barrels grabs 8th in the end.
And then Fullness as well as Judoka finish quite close to each other as well.
DJ not able to make that tire advantage materialize at the end here. Pamico grabs 13th, and the ever unlucky Dr. Lovejuice, who had a bit of a meltdown at 1 lap of the race where everything just fell apart. It's gonna be last place for the 69 car of Dr. LJ. What a race it's been. What an amazing race. So much action. Oh, I feel like, first of all, the race went by extremely quickly. Second of all, I feel almost exhausted now having to cover everything here.
Yes. Very, very exhausting.
So we're gonna go to race results. For the overview, we're gonna go to the interviews channel. That's gonna lose us Chompie. I didn't want that to happen. Can I bring him here? I do not have that kind of permission. Okay, so interviews are just gonna be held here in the general voice channel. Of course, we are open for our drivers to join in, so if anyone wants to have a bit of a chat about this great race, do join in the general voice chat on the ESGT Discord. But there's gonna be a lot of material to choose from
Yeah, definitely.
This round's recap. It's certainly been the best race of the season so far.
Yeah, I mean, all of the races have been pretty action-packed, honestly, and I can't wait for the next races that we have to commentate for. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, we're of course going to be back in 2 weeks from now on March the 15th for the 4th round of this series, as we're going to be visiting Sardinia and the Sardinia B layout, of course the road layout. No memes thrown in here of dirt racing, of course. But
Yeah.
indeed, we are going to be looking forward to that big time. Of course, in the meantime, there will be this set recap coming out. There'll be a round of the Virtual Endurance Championship, the VEC, multi-class stint race that's going on here for the ESGT as well. On Half the Race Gone, we'll be having the Simpact Aston Series kicking off on Thursday, so that's basically TSR. Thursdays returning to Half the Race Gone, as well as the 12 hours of Sebring from iRacing with our iRacing boys doing that in not too long. So do pay us a visit if you want to check in with some of that. Of course, still open for drivers wanting to do that interview. I'd say I'd almost be surprised if we don't get anyone checking in for a bit of a talk today. If it was me driving, I would be in a hurry, to say the least, to get my words and my feelings off of it. It must have been intense for some of those drivers being locked in such a 3-way, 4-way battle for the entirety of the race.
Yeah, right now all the drivers are having a good old chat, cooling down, grabbing a refreshing drink of water, telling everyone good race, all that good stuff. So after that, they'll probably get on in here.
And speaking of refreshing sips of water, I think I need just about that. Ain't nothing like a good old, really good race to get you excited on a Sunday night. I hope my neighbors wouldn't complain too much about the excitement levels going on in this booth.
It seems also in qualifying there was an incident between Judoka and Barrels as well. But yeah, as we wait here for all the drivers to finish cooling off and get on into the interview box with us.
So we got Barrels joining in here. Welcome, Barrels. Nice to have you along. Great race, and on your part, it must have been hectic. It seemed to be one long battle indeed. Talk us through it, if you will be so kind.
Yeah, the race was really hectic in the last half. In qualifying, really couldn't find the lines and where to drive, so I just had a low qualifying position. But in the second half of the race, I started to get a feel for the track with the worn tires and everything.
Yeah, great battle, by the way, between Bonjour Storm and yourself. Can you explain, like, the thought process and mentality you had behind exchanging positions with him as well?
Yeah, it's like he has the better top end car, so when he's behind you on the straights, it gets really scary. But in the second and third sector, I can just go off and try to catch him in the corners.
All right, but yeah, good race. I don't really know what else to say. I am lost for words as far as this race goes. It was so action-packed.
Yeah, usually I can remember. I can usually remember at least a few situations for each driver that I could ask in about. But for this one, it's just there was so much that it's just I hardly even. It was a great race, Barrels, and great job keeping the head cool under such conditions. It seems to be really hectic indeed. So yeah, great job, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean about all the action. I checked the map for a second and I see 3 cars in front of me duking it out, and behind me, DJ and I think, was it Fullness or Jidoka?
Yeah, it was Fullness.
Yeah, those 2 were going it out behind me.
Yeah, it was. You only experienced one perspective, but overall there was lots to see. There were lead changes. Tuco 5s and Ismatalik were heavily battling. It was so chaotic.
Yeah, we had you and Bonjour Storm battling it out. We had DJ battling it out with who was that? I don't even remember. We had Dr. Lovejuice first spinning it and then slamming it into the pit wall. I mean, we had all types of, like, we even had a little bit of controversial battle for the lead as Darkrai was kind of squeezed, kind of touched, kind of grazed off of the track. And it was a really good race in the end.
Yeah,
it was really good to watch.
A little messy in the midfield because everyone was trying to like find their groove with the track.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Barrels, thanks for joining us, and that goes to everyone as well who've been watching here along on ESGT Official on this wonderful Sunday day/night, depending on where you are in this wonderful world. It seems we aren't really gonna be joined by anyone else, to my surprise.
Yeah.
Do we give him a couple of minutes more, Chompie, or what do you say?
We have
we have Tuco. just as I say it. Tuco, welcome to.
Oh, alright, I'm gonna head out. See you guys.
Cheers, Barrels. Tuco, welcome to, and congratulations on a very nice top 5 place. That was an intense battle for 5th place with 5S, and was that Ismatalik as well, going at it. Great to watch, great to follow. It must have been intense to be a part of.
Yeah. Hello, Chompie and Dirten and everyone who's watching us, and thanks for the space for the interview. Yeah, it was a very, very tough race because me, Ismatalik, and Fives were more or less about on the same pace, so nobody would gain an advantage on the race. So we were really having a fight that held for all the races. So I am really tired. My shoulders are begging for mercy after the final laps.
Yeah, that move though on 5s in the middle of the race, that was a really good move, by the way. I figured I'd mention that.
Oh, thanks, man. I was watching that Fives was a little bit overdriving the car on the first stint, and I recognized that Ismatalik had a little advantage on the pace, so I was really needing to make them move. Otherwise, I would be spending my time defending from Ismatalik and could possibly let Fives get away. So it was a very necessary overtaking at a moment of the race that was crucial. That was right before the pit stops, with us 3 having already tires being gone. So I'm really glad that I managed to do that.
Yeah, it was a great race in the end, and coming down from what, 8th, 9th on the grid to finish 5th must be really satisfactory for you.
Oh, indeed it was. The car, I don't feel the car being very good on the qualifying, but it's a car that I can feel that I especially on the with the tire wear and the car being good on fuel, I was able to always move forward on a race. And these are the cars that I really like, the cars that I can feel more free on the race than on the qualifying.
Indeed. Well, cheers, Tuco. Thanks for joining us. Congratulations on a very nice top 5 Division 1 finish here from round 3 at Autopolis. And can't wait to see you racing again with us in 2 weeks' time, mate.
Yeah, I don't know. So thanks, Darren. Take Chompie. See ya, guys.
All right, talk to you later.
Talk to you
And,
later.
yeah, to the viewers as well. Thank you for tuning in for the Division 1 race here at Autopolis. And tune in 2 weeks' time. We will be racing at Sardinia. I cannot pronounce that one track's name.
Sardinia?
Fun.
Sardinia is pretty much right. You're pretty much on point, though.
All right, there we go. Yeah, but tune in 2 weeks' time for that race. We also have in 2 weeks' time the VES round 4. I believe it is at the Nürburgring. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, tune in for that race as well. Thank you for all of the viewers. Thank you to all of the Division 1, 2, and 3 drivers participating in this event. And we will talk to you guys later. I'm Chompie18 from Team Renegade.
And I'm DirtenDK from Half the Race Gone. And until next time, take care, have fun, and bye-bye.